Okay.
All right. All right. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour. We have it every Wednesday. Nistu Nidoniko Makoyo Sakoi, Theta New Breast, and our team is here. And we just decided that we love healing so much. We just love healing that we wanted to talk about Ukraine and possibly some of the feelings that you might be having inside, and feelings with your family, feelings with your reservation, feelings with your community. And then we also just decided, Lovina and Jean and I will have them introduce themselves in a minute. We'd just like to share with you, I guess, how we take care of ourselves, because we're in this with you. We're we're on equal ground. And so welcome to Native Wellness Institute. We've been going for hundreds of weeks, we can say hundreds. Pretty soon we'll all be gray. We'll just be old and decrepit, and we'll still be doing the power hour. but that's just our own humor. So we're just gonna share some time. So Jean, why don't you go next and do some introduction, just in case nobody knows who in the heck we are.
Hey, awesome. Thanks, Theda and Lovina, and welcome everybody. And so we're just gonna do my introductions, and oftentimes what I talk about too is I like to share is that our introductions are so important on who we are, but not only that, but who do we walk with in this world? Who do we walk with? What ancestors walk with us? What entities or energies or who is it that we walk into the room with, even on this space right here? And so the importance of our ancestors. So kaya yuhaktu so ktakte tana kat kakita kaktu kandu ay hutsiti wishkatanyeria khata ish yiktihini do so shinkita weya shlagi Filipino akat konachish ho ho. So my name is Jean Tagaban. My Slinket name is Gayao. I'm of the Duckdane Tong clan, Raven Freshwater Sockeye clan from Mahuna, Alaska, child of a Wishkatan Eagle Shark clan from Majuan in Juneau, Alaska. I'm Cherokee, Tlingit, and Filipino. My last name is Tagaban. In the Philippines is pronounced Tagaban. My grandfather's from Bantock. My great-grandfather's from Ilocos Norte. And that's on my father's side. He's Tlingit and Filipino. My mother is full but Cherokee, Shlagi, and her Cherokee name is Weeg. I'm of the Wolf clan. And she traced our lineage back to before the Trail of Tears to a place that is now known as Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. And I just want to also acknowledge that right now I am on the land, the territory of the Coast Salish people, on the traditional lands of the Puyallup and the shadow of Mount Tahoma, and so that's just my introduction. So, Lovina.
Limlams. Thank you, Jean. Ahislatla and Chai squeeze Hustenma and Chaspa Us Telichast and Chai squeeze Stichum Shnimipu and Chai squeeze and so Chin Snakes. Hello everybody, good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here. My English name is Lovina Louie. My Indian name is Hustenma. I come to you from the Shishtichuam Shinimipu, the Coeur d'Alene and Nez Perce from my mom, and the Okanagan and Lakes bands of the Colville Confederated Tribes from my dad. And I acknowledge today I'm on a combination of traditional territories of the Coeur d'Alenes and the Spokanes and the Kalispels in Spokane, Washington. And I'm just really happy to be here today to just kind of share with you guys a little bit about how you might be feeling. And I myself personally, like I don't watch the news. I don't have cable, or I don't have any kind of local news, and I haven't been seeing a lot of the news, unless I go to my mom and dad's, and then that's when the CNN is on 24/7, and like many of our elders, they have to know what's going on in the world. But one of the things that I did see as we enter into this power hour is that I read something that Anita Morjani said, and you know, because she was kind of talking about all the stresses of Ukraine and of war and how people are reacting to it. And I think that's one of the things I do. I protect myself by not looking at everything, you know, like, because even seeing those little strollers just parked there, like I seen that, and it made me sad. It made me feel so like, wow, you know, there, you know, it made me feel like our ancestors probably felt when they, you know, left they got moved onto reservations. You know, they could only take what they could carry. And these people are fleeing as fast as they can. And so what I would like to do to just start us off today is to just offer a song, to just offer a prayer. If we can just come together, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, you know, let's just take a moment as we start this power hour, and let's pray together. You know, whatever language you speak, speak that language in your prayer. You know, if you have a song that you can sing, if you can walk outside, you know, if you can walk outside and you can step on Mother Earth, you know, that's what I want you to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take my shoes off and feel the earth, feel Mother Earth, and just ask Mother Earth to just, you know, send healing, you know, even if it's touching a tree and asking those roots, you know, to communicate with each other to help those children and families in Ukraine. And so together we'll do that as we always do with this organization, with Native Wellness Institute. We always start with a prayer. We always start with a song. So maybe I can offer a song, and then maybe, you know, Theda can offer a prayer, and Jean can offer another, you know, because that's what we're about. We're about praying. And that's how we can help each other. That's how we can help Ukraine, is we can pray and we can send them love and we can send them light. So Kulan-Sutin Creator, I just thank you for being with us today. I thank you for allowing us to have this insight. I thank you, Kulan-Sutin, for my brother Rob, who messaged us and said, you know, maybe we should have a power hour and help people who are feeling anxious, are feeling stressed, are feeling like they need some hope and some faith and some prayers. And so today I just thank you for bringing us together. And I just want to sing a song and just ask that it would go, and it would just go all throughout Ukraine and all throughout Russia and all throughout the leaders of the countries that are dealing with this issue. Oh, Sister Theda.
Gosh, Lovina, I just love the heck out of you. I just love you, Lovina, because you said you could go out and put your feet on the ground. It's below freezing here, Fahrenheit, so I can't do that, but I did this morning, and I'm just gonna offer. I'm just looking out at the clouds, and I'll say, "Hayo Stjabatipi, Hayo Ninna, Hayo Napi Natusi, Hayo Akita Biwa, Nogaki Mokit, Nogaspumokit." And Nogaki Mokit means pity us, pity me. Nogaspumokit means help us, help us. I'd just like to ask all of our ancestors all the way back, Creator, Istapatapi, all of our ancestors. We just welcome you to this space, this Zoom space with Native Wellness Institute. And we ask our ancestors just to radiate out into the universe, to the Nistu Makoyo Sakoi Milky Way, out into the Milky Way, out into the stars and out into the universe, and to come back gently and to bring some harmony. We just ask for harmony for those that are distraught. We ask for harmony for those that their hearts hurt. We ask for harmony for those that are grieving, because we know the grief is as big as the love. And when you love a lot, Creator, we're just learning to love. We've been healing and stepping outside of our egos, because Creator, you've taught us that EGO stands for edging God out, ego. We just want to be egoless during this time and offer some encouraging and inspiring words that will help families and help tribes, help indigenous, help people of color. And we're sending this prayer out to our white relatives all across Europe. We love you too. And we hope that you can come back to harmony. We just ask special prayers for all of the veterans, all of the soldiers, all of the families attached to veterans and soldiers, because sometimes soldiers have to do things under orders that they wouldn't choose to do as an individual. We ask special blessings for all of the children, any that are orphaned, any of the family that are grieving there in Ukraine and also on our reservations, our 584 tribes. Creator, we just ask you to, for this time, to bring us some compassion, to bring us some forgiveness, to bring us a harmony or an ease that we can sleep good, that we can take care of each other, that we can be good to each other, and that we can concentrate on self-care. So I'll just say, Anya, kind of end right there. And I'd like to start with the story, and then, I'll pass it. Lovina and Jean and I were kind of telepathic. We don't even have to do our lips like that, but this story is, and it comes from Old Voice, Gerald Cooper, Vietnam vet. And he told, he's gone now. Today is his death anniversary. So one of the things that I've learned in healing and harmony is to tell the good stories of someone on their death anniversary. So it's been 8 years today. And the story and it's a cool story. And I was trying to remember if it was the story of when he got transferred his war bonnet. So the story is Uncle was always he's a combat vet, but he was many things. He was the head of security at the Indian Health Service Hospital in Browning, Montana for 29 years. And he handled all the families that came into ER. He handled with grace. He was just, they would always call him because he had a way of ease of handling any kind of situation, just like we're in now, with if we do watch the news or if we are triggered as a vet. And so the story he shared was he was always a firefighter, like a hot shot. He would take crews out, and so he said they were out and they had anticipated this fire to go around, but it did not. It was coming straight towards them on all four sides. And it wasn't, it was that panic state where you're just adrenaline, the fire's coming in on all directions. And he was the leader. And so he just immediately told everyone to hold hands to lock on, that no one, so, even sometimes, it's just to hold hands with your loved ones, or even to hold your own hands. And he said, hold on, everyone, hold on, because it was getting dark. The smoke was coming in and they couldn't see, but he saw a body of water. And so he led the whole entire hotshot group into the water. And he said they were getting into the water, and he knew as long as they were in the water, that fire coming at them from the 4 directions was not going to get them. And he said, but it got dark because of the fire and the smoke, and they couldn't see. And so he just started walking out, and everyone was holding each other's hand, like, we need to connect now. And as they were walking in, he said that he could feel the water, and he was chest deep into the water. And he said, and he reached out. Guess what was in the water? was this moose. And the moose had panicked because he could feel he knew that there was imminent death. So the moose was in the water. And then Uncle, he said he just thought, we're just pitiful human beings. We're just pitiful. He thought, dang, this moose, I'm going to hold on to him. So he held on to the moose's tail, and they're going. And so next thing, this moose he's got the moose's tail, all of the men that he was with, and they all grew up together. They loved each other. They fought fire for years together. So they're going along in the water, and they're going along, and it was that moose that led them across, so they didn't get deep and over their head, and the moose led them out to safety, and they were able to escape from being burned to death by that fire. And I told you that was so Uncle Gerald, old voice, you're on the other side. I'm just repeating your story because I know you can help us, you as an ancestor. And I wanted to start with that story. And I just want to read something that he wrote. He wrote his own eulogy. He wrote his, how like we always have the papers that we call them remembrance papers. So this is Uncle Gerald. This is he was commander of the Blackfeet Veterans Society. He was many things. This was him when he went into Vietnam. And he went in with 29 men, and they all got killed except for 7. And he was one of the 7. And we met all of those 7. They were his friends, and they all eventually died one by one. And then he was the last one of the 29. So I just want to, so this was his, how like veterans, I just love, and Lovina, your dad, and Gene, all of your veteran relatives. This was his list of what you should do while you're alive. He had like a list. So I'm just gonna, so these aren't my words. I thought, I was praying this morning, and I told Lovina, I said, I just had a good cry this morning. I just cried till my snots came out. So, because, I wanted to have some clarity. So I'm going to read the list, and then I'll pass it on to one of you. He said, laugh when you can, apologize when you should, and let go of what you can't change. I like this part. He said, kiss slowly, forgive quickly, play hard, forgive quickly. So put it there twice. Take chances, give everything you've got, and have no regrets. Life is too short to be anything but happy. So I just wanted to start with, just to channeling our veterans, all of our veterans, since we have a lot of them in this fight going on in Ukraine. And it might have triggered some of us, it triggered me. But I'm just doing a lot of extreme self-care, and I'm good at some of it, but sometimes I just think, wow, like just wow, just having gratitude that we're alive and that we have choice. So that's some of my thoughts. Jean, Lovina, what do you think?
Thanks, Theda. Yeah, during this year, I mean, we're right now, I just want to really I like that list. I like that list, you know, and those kiss slowly, you know, and just I know Ruby before, you know, even if we're like having a disagreement or we've been battling or whatever, we always like we'll just um as we're in bed, we'll just like those little soft pecks, you know, those little soft pecks. Just so, no, love you. And that's the value of that, you know, and taking the gratitude, you know, being grateful for that, for each other and what we have and who we are. But what are you grateful for now? I mean, it's like here we are. Yes, we just got over. I'm not going to say we just got over. We've been in a pandemic for the last 2 years. Trauma, stress, our immune systems have been compromised. We've lost people, grief, anxiety, all these here feelings that have come up during that time. And now here we go into this world crisis. Now we've been in a world crisis this whole time too, but now it's like even just like this flood with a war that's going on. Um, uh, that's happening over there. Yes, war. I would just want to acknowledge wars have been going on through this whole time. You know, Afghanistan, Iran, down in in other parts of the world. You know, and but this one here has just been thrown at the forefront of all everything that's our news media, our and social media and such. So it's just been thrown out there. And I have been watching the news. I've been listening to other sources as well, just trying to get thoughts on this war that's happening. And I do acknowledge that it is I've know that it's scary. There's anxiety around it still that's continuing on from the pandemic. I just want to acknowledge all those feelings that people are having. And Theda I talked about earlier today, um, and I just really want to say is that what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Mm.
What is that self-care that we talk about? Oh, I should be exercising more. I should be eating better. I should be drinking more water. I should be walking more. I should be hugging my kids more. I should be like sleeping more. I should, all these shoulds, and we're shoulding on ourselves.
Mm.
But what is that self-care? Now it's not about, I should be doing this. It's about doing it. It's about doing it and taking action and doing it, you know? And what is that? I mean, for myself personally, and thank goodness for Ruby, she kicks me out of the house to get on my bike rides. And I'll admit I haven't been outside on my bike rides as much, but those are, that's my self-care. I need to move. I need to breathe fresh air into my lungs. I need to get my heart pumping, boom, 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 out there. Because when I'm not only when I'm out there exercising or moving, when I'm riding, that's my prayer time.
Mm.
Prayer is not about just sitting in your house. Meditating is not just about sitting in your house, sitting still. Prayer can be movement. I'm praying when I'm riding my bike. I'm praying when I'm walking outside. Um, and I'm also meditating during those times too. And what am I meditating on? Just like just health, wellness, peace, love, healing, healing. Not just for us as indigenous people, native people, and those people on this turtle island, but all of us on this here earth. You know, as I had a brother who's since passed on. His name is Bernie Worrell, and he was the keyboard player for Parliamentary Funkadelic. You know, and his you know, his in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he'd always call this, you know, the mothership. The earth is our mothership, man. The earth is our mothership, and here we are zooming through the universe, you know, just spinning circles, and we're on this mothership. And indigenous people, as indigenous people, we're always praying for our mothership. And the wellness of the mothership right now is in jeopardy. So part of my thing is too, is like, as I'm praying, I know others out there are praying too. As I'm riding my bike, I know others are riding their bike too. As I went, are meditating as well. And as this morning, when I went outside in my backyard, again, it faces directly east, and the sun there was blue sky out there. There was some oranges and yellows off in the distance. There's clouds over there because the sun was just starting to come up, and I was just grateful, just held my hands up, say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And sometimes I don't even know the words to say. But all I say is, you know my heart. Creator, you know my heart. Because I don't know the words to say, but my spirit knows. My presence knows. And so I just take that time. So what is our, you know, and even my wife this morning, Ruby, she's saying, you need to drink more water. You know, and so I have, not only am I out there doing my own self-care, but I have who's your ally in this world? Who's your ally on this mothership here? I know Ruby is my ally. I know Lovina is my ally. Theda is my ally. Native Wellness Institute is my ally. And so many of the other people that we work with are my allies. But who's your ally? My dogs are my ally. They're like my greatest allies, man. But who, and that's when I said the importance of our introductions when you introduce yourself, because in spirit world, our ancestors are our allies, and who do you travel with? But also not only that, but also who do we walk with in this world? Because a belief system that I was raised with is that alcohol is a presence. Depression, suicide, self-harming, all these things with mental health. Grief, trauma, all these are entities. And so when I asked you, when we introduce ourselves, sure, I'm introducing my ancestors who walk with me, those who brought me into existence, but also, am I walking into the room with this violence, this hurt, this trauma also? I can learn something from that, but to be honest with you, I don't want them really as an ally. They're my teaching team, but those who support me, my allies. And how am I going to take care of myself? And so how do you take care of yourself? And put it in the chats. Put it in the chats on what you do for your authentic self-care and what you're going to do, as opposed to just talking about it, as opposed to just thinking about it. And I know Ruby's listening to this right now, probably, and she's like, I heard what you said. So it's time for me to put those sugary snacks away and things like that, like cookies and things that, you know, and that stuff, you know. And what do I need to do? Because what's going on in the world affects us. It does. and as a man, I want to say this too, as a man, I talked to my brother this morning, as a man, about the toxic masculinity, the toxic patriarchy that's out there, and we're seeing it on the forefront, man. With these world leaders. And I'm part of that as a male, as a man. So men, what are we going to do? Men, what are we going to do? What's our part in this, in healing and in support and being an ally? What is our part? I'm talking to my brothers out there, or those who identify as men, because we're seeing, all that out there. And because look at the woman warriors who are taking care of those children in Ukraine, the floods of women doing whatever they can. Women, I hold you up. I always, throughout this year, this whole time, the women, but as men over here, what do we do? What's our part here? How are we going to heal? How are we going to, and what's our part? What's our authentic self-care? What is that? And who you walk into the room with are people, yeah. Anyways, I can go on and on and on. And so with this, but I'm going to turn it over to Lovina.
Thanks, Jean. Wow, that's a lot to think about. And just even as you were talking, Jean, I was thinking about how, there's some people in our lives, in our circles, that they constantly talk about, the negativity in the world, or the negativity that's going on. And, when you get into conversations with some people, it's just like, oh, what if this is World War III, and what if they send nuclear bombs, and there's and so some people just get extremely stressed out and start going down these little rabbit holes that are of destruction and death, and because it's fear based. It's this is what could happen. What if this happens? Should we start getting food? Just on the drive up here to Spokane, my daughter said, "Mom, do you got enough food? Because if something happens, we're all coming to your house. So you better make sure you're prepared, not just for your little family, but for all of us." And I just laughed, and but I thought, how many, like, even in my lifetime, when it was gonna hit the year 2000, and how many people were scared, and all these things were gonna happen, and we just didn't really know what was gonna happen. But and we as just as people in the world, we really don't have a whole lot of control of what happens, and what decisions go on. But we do have control over ourselves. We do have control over what we choose, if we choose to go down those rabbit holes, or if we choose to stop. And if it's a person who's doing that, like one of your friends or a family member, we can just stop and say, let's pray. Let's pray for Ukraine. Let's pray for the leaders of this country. You can, call a sweat. You can, get together with your children and your families. That's one thing with my husband, Dwayne. Every night we pray, and every night we've been praying for Ukraine. We've added Ukraine into our prayers, and we pray for all of our family. We pray for, our girls get to choose, what they want to pray for. And it's really, I think that's what we have to do, is we have to find those ceremonies, find those ways, and maybe like I was reading about Ukraine, and one of their traditions is during like the change of seasons from winter to spring, or from this time of transition, they make pancakes because it's in the shape of a sun. And so they they make pancakes for a week, and they just bring them to each other's houses, and they sit down and visit and eat pancakes, you know, and it's because it's that representation of change. And so, you know, like, so that's what, you know, as indigenous people, you know, this is a special time. Our roots are waking up, you know, our all of the roots that our people gather are awakening, and it's getting that time to go out and dig roots. You know, maybe put your energy into asking elders, you know, what roots did we gather? You know, what did we do traditionally during spring? What was our, you know, did we have ceremonies? What were the things that we did? You know, and try to focus your energy, just like Jean talked about, you know, like on on yourself, on your own self-care. Sometimes we go really big, and then we have to come back down and think, okay, so what can I do? And you know, and that's why I think, you know, we always pray, and that's why that's one of the reasons too. I think, you know, my friend list is really small. You know, like I don't have like I have a lot of friends, but like the people that I'm in communication with a lot is very few people, because, you know, I surround myself with positivity and love. And so, you know, taking a step back and looking at, you know, who am I surrounding myself with, and is it positive? Is it helpful? Is it helping me in my journey? And you know, so that's what I think we wanted to just, you know, spend some time talking about, thinking about, and just being aware, you know, like when we started this power hour, like when Theda started it, you know, that some of our veterans might get triggered. You know, are they okay? I mean, you know, yesterday I spent the whole day with my dad, and I was thinking about Vietnam, and I was thinking about, you know, like, do some of us have skin issues because our parents were in Vietnam? Like you know, I was born after Vietnam, and you know, my older sister and I said we have skin things on us because of Agent Orange. And there's just so many effects, not only the emotional effects, but there's physical effects of war. There's all kinds of, you know, effects that happen when a war happens. And so, you know, we have to be aware of that this could be triggering some of our veterans. And you know, because it's showing on TV, these things. And so we just have to you know, just keep that in the back of our heads, and just check on our veterans, make sure they're doing okay, you know, make sure that they're feeling okay, and do they need anything. So you know, I think that's really important. I think that we do that. So thank you for sharing that, Theda. And I love that list. Like that list is like for life. Like, man, be happy, live fearlessly. Like just, you know, just get out there and be happy. And you choose to be happy, right? You choose that. So let's choose to be happy.
Well, thank you, Lovina. So maybe we could just in our remaining time just talk about the good tools that we're using, or the good, you know, what we're doing to bring back harmony. I was in Pine Ridge last week, so a shout out to Thunder Valley community in the Pine Ridge. And Lynette Killsback gave me this necklace. And Janice Richard made me these earrings, and I'm wearing a ribbon skirt that she made with dragonflies on it. And it's just dragonflies and many ribbons. And so my self-care is, I was just talking to my mom, and my mom always gets up like she's getting up, adorns herself and getting ready to go for the day. And she just said, I said, are you all adorned, Mom, and showered, adorned, and ready? So part of the self-care is really what you surround yourself with. This is a painting that comes from Seattle Indian Health Board's treatment center. It has a long story, but it's essentially, this is how a two-spirited person felt when they came out to their parents and they thought they were going to be rejected. And when her mother said, I love you no matter what gender, what you are, she said this is how she felt. And so Lovina, no, thank you, because, March 20th is coming. And our April healing conference is coming. I'm just like, my vision board is filled with love. And so think about, on this power hour, I was trying to choose the words that would inspire, and what are you going to do March 20th? The equinox, the solstice. What kinds of things are you planning? And Lovina, thank you, because I'm got an experiment of growing sweetgrass, and guess what? The inside one is growing some sweetgrass. And God, this morning I was like, God damn, my sweetgrass is growing. I mean, no, I was dancing around like, I'm growing sweetgrass, like it's just about this long, and maybe I'll get one little skinny braid, but it's just delight. Plan your rites of passage is, you can plan your rites of passage. And I think everything's going to be okay. But I was like, when I thought to myself, well, I'm willing to pay $200 for a tank of gas. And then I just thought, what's going on there? I'm willing to pay $300 for a tank of gas. I just started making these little, I'm willing to do that, because if our country, and we have to trust our leaders, we have to communicate with them, but I'm trusting our leaders right now. And in our Indian country, I just thought, shoot, we're all Ukraine. My reservation massacred. Your reservation massacred. Our reservation genocide. We've gone through this. So having gone through this over and over in the centuries, it's time that we help in some way, and we're just doing it with prayer. So that, I guess, just, that's my, and I'm even putting on, I love the grandmas over there wear scarves like us. I should have just like, I saw that and I go, dang, they got our scarves. We got their scarves. We could symbolically. And then I was thinking, where do I get a Ukrainian flag? I'm just going to drive around with the Ukrainian flag flapping. I mean, it's like giving support that we haven't forgotten you, like we were forgotten as tribes. So that's some of my thoughts. What do you think, Jean? What do you think? Where are we with this healing?
Well, you know what, right now my thoughts are too is, I just want to, we have a relative who was on our chat here, Nadia. I just want to really acknowledge you. She's a Ukrainian, and she's, God, man, I just thinking about her family and her land, the land of her people, the land of her ancestors, where the dust lies of those old peoples and those old stories in the trees and in the roots, and I appreciate you being on. But I was thinking of a story about how everyone's comparing this, right? Her name's Rachel, and Rachel was a survivor of Auschwitz. And when she first saw me, Rachel was probably about this tall. I'm saying about this tall because I don't even think she was like 5 foot tall. And she wore big glasses that were dark, and she had her little bag around her arm, and she wore a scarf on her head, same thing. But I met her in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'll be honest with you, at that time, I didn't want to go to Omaha, Nebraska for this event I was going for. And, but there was a purpose to it. It was to meet Rachel. And Rachel, at first, she didn't want to even talk to me. She kind of looked at me like, and then she wanted to go get apples, because one of the things that was passed on to her from her parents was she was a baker. And the secret apple pie ingredients, she baked apple pies for people. that she got from her parents who were no longer with us because of World War II. So she gave me the bag. She didn't even ask me. She just, here, hold this. And I'm like, just like any auntie, I'm like holding the bag for her. It's like, okay. And she's like grabbing the apples. These ones are too big. Put them back. Small ones. I don't know why she's explaining, people want those big ones. The small ones are the better ones. She put them in the bag. And she went home, and then we went to the house, and then she made the apple pie, and then she looked at me. She says, you walk with me. You walk with me. Tell me about your people. And so I told her about the trail, the boarding schools, the reservations, having a bounty on our heads, all that part of it, the traumas, the hurts, and the triumphs. And she looked at me, she goes, you, me, we're same. We're same. And then she said, she told me, you know what my revenge is? She looked at me. You know what my revenge is? I'm going to live a happy, productive life. Because here I am. That's my revenge. And I always take that. I always remember that. Because my ancestors, the Trail of Tears, how many more relatives would I have if they survived, if they made it? But here I am. And part of my revenge is this, yes, I'm going to live a happy and productive life. Are our people still suffering on our own lands? Yes. Are they still dying on our own lands? Yes. Here on Turtle Island, yes. But I'm going to hold that gratitude. Can I get pissed? Yeah. Can I get angry? Yeah. But I'm not going to stay there because it will make me sick. It'll end me. It will end me if I stay in the anger, if I stay in the hurt, the trauma. If I stay there, it will end me. And so I want to continue on. I want to continue on. And what do I need to do that? I'm still searching. I'm still looking. And I'm going to be looking until the day I take my last breath. But here I am right now. And my revenge is, here I am. I'm going to live a happy life. I'm going to be happy. So that's what I'm thinking about. And there's so much more. I mean, and the healing that's around it too. And there's so much more. That I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest with you. There's like, I'm having feelings here and emotions, especially as a man, and that there's things I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to, yeah. And so one thing too is like, that stuff that you hold in our body, it's like, rub it out. It's okay. Rub it out. Pat yourself down, jump up and down, go outside and scream. Let the neighbors think that you're crazy. That's okay. Go out and scream. If they come outside the front door and they scream, they're looking at you screaming, have them, hey, scream with me. I mean, me and my dogs, we howl. And sometimes my wife and myself and the dogs will have rolled down all the windows and we'll be driving down the street just howling. People are looking at us like, but that's part of our wellness. That's part of our just like our joy and being happy. But throughout all that, still continue to pray. And it's okay to cry. And it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be mad. send good thoughts, those prayers, whatever way, offer some tobacco, take some water, drop it on the earth. Because sometimes we feel helpless, but if that's something you could do, yeah, so, Lovina, any thoughts? I know time goes by so fast. Holy.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks, Jean. And I know we only have a couple minutes and you have to head to your next meeting, but we do have some trainings coming up. And so I just wanted to do a really quick shout out for those trainings. We have being an ally in Indian country coming up next week. And then we have the healing from boarding and residential schools training. And on that training, we're going to have a lot of special guests join us from different organizations. So we're going to have, and I wanted to try to share that with you guys so you could see that. But we have a couple, if you go to our website, our flyers are there and our registration is there. But I just wanted to remember that before we ended today. But I didn't have any more left to share. Theda, did you want to do a closing prayer or just some closing words for us today?
Yes, one of the beautiful things that we can do, and in Lovina, you said to go outside, but just start thinking, looking, the Mohawks have a ceremony of thank you for the trees, thank you for the air, thank you for the roof over my head, thank you for my vehicles, thank you for my children, thank you for my dogs, thank you for my cats, thank you for my friends from Ukraine, thank you for the veterans, thank you for all of our men, thank you for all of our future 10 generations, thank you for the electricity in my house, thank you for the snow, thank you for this computer. It's just, we could go on and on and on and just say thank you, thank you, thank you, and embrace those that you love. So I guess I could offer that, Lovina.
And I have a request, Theda.
Yeah.
Can you read that list again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Uncle, this is his advice for life. Laugh when you can, apologize when you should, and let go of what you can't change. Kiss slowly. Forgive quickly. Play hard. And then he puts it again. Forgive quickly. Take chances. Give everything you have with no regrets. Life is too short to be anything but happy. And I got it on my refrigerator and I took it off. I just thought, this is what I try to do, because that's his legacy. All of, and not just his, our veterans. Our veterans are so smart. They gave so much sacrifice. We just got to listen to their stories. We got to listen to how they be happy and how we can help them be happy. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you, Theda. Thank you, everybody. Lovina, thank you, everybody out there. Thank you, and blessings, blessings, blessings to you all. We're the Native Oneness Institute, and you are also the Native Oneness Institute out there. So
And what I just wanted to add one more thing. I was trying to remember what is just to take some time to meditate. Take some time to just clear your mind and just listen to flute music or listen to the water, download where you can listen to the birds, but just take some time to meditate every day, and it really truly does help. We love you guys. It was good to spend time with you during Power Hour. Have a wonderful day. Leem lunch.
Cyber hugs. I like hugging people for real, but cyber hugs are pretty good too.